On a bright December afternoon in 1945, 5 U.S. Navy torpedo bombers lifted off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Their mission was routine, a simple training exercise over the Bahamas. But what happened next would become one of the greatest aviation mysteries of all time. These 5 planes, known as Flight 19, vanished without a trace. No wreckage was ever recovered. No survivors were found. And with that, the legend of the Bermuda Triangle was born. Stretching across 500,000 square miles of ocean, the Bermuda Triangle is bordered by Puerto Rico, Bermuda, and mainland Florida. It's one of the busiest shipping routes in the world. Yet over the decades, this region has earned a darker reputation. Tales of ships and planes disappearing without explanation have fueled countless theories, from mechanical failure to paranormal phenomena. But no case has captured the public imagination quite like Flight 19. That morning, the weather was perfect for flying. The sun rose over Florida's Naval Air Station in Fort Lauderdale, where crews prepared for a day of training. Among the pilots was Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor, a seasoned veteran of World War II with over 2,000 flight hours. He was tasked with leading 4 other planes, each manned mostly by inexperienced aviators. At 2:10 p.m., Flight 19 took off in formation. Their mission: fly east to the Bahamas, practice a mock bombing run, then follow a triangular route back to base. Simple enough on paper. For the first part of the exercise, everything went according to plan. The planes reached their designated target, dropped their practice torpedoes, and made their turns exactly as scheduled. But around 3:40 p.m., something went wrong. Pilots began reporting strange disorientation. Lieutenant Taylor radioed in, sounding uncertain. He said, "Both my compasses are out. I'm trying to find Fort Lauderdale, but I don't know where I am." According to Taylor, the land below didn't look familiar. He believed they were flying over the Florida Keys, small islands off the southern tip of Florida. But in reality, they were far to the northeast, somewhere over the Abaco Islands in the Bahamas.
Lieutenant Taylor put out a radio call to a pilot on the ground saying, "Both my compasses are out, and I am trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am over land, but it is broken. I am sure I am in the Keys, but I don't know how far down, and I don't know how to get back to Fort Lauderdale." At the time Taylor sent this message, he was completely lost. Although he believed himself to be southwest of Fort Lauderdale, he was, in fact, northeast of his intended destination. Had Taylor followed the standard operating procedure for being lost in the Atlantic and simply headed towards the sunset, he would have most likely found land and be able to reorientate himself.
Back at the naval base, another pilot, Lieutenant Robert Cox, overheard Taylor's distress calls. He immediately responded, trying to help guide the lost squadron home. Ground crews advised Flight 19 to fly west, but Taylor hesitated. His compasses had failed, and he feared flying over the Gulf of Mexico by mistake. The situation grew worse. Taylor refused to switch radio frequencies despite requests from the base, and his transmissions became harder to hear as his signal faded. By 4:30 p.m., the weather began to deteriorate. What started as a clear, sunny day now turned into a dangerous situation. The inexperienced crew members struggled to navigate as darkness approached. At 5:15 p.m., Taylor made his final decision. He told his men, "We'll fly 270 degrees west until we hit land, or until we run out of gas." It was their last communication with base. After that, silence. As soon as Flight 19 was reported missing, a massive search operation began. Aircraft from multiple bases launched into the night sky, scouring the waters below. Among the search teams were 2 PBM Martin Mariner flying boats, tasked with finding the lost squadron. Tragically, one of the rescue planes also vanished. At 7 p.m., one of the Mariners sent a routine radio check. Moments later, it disappeared from radar. Witnesses aboard a nearby tanker reported seeing a mid-air explosion in the exact area the Mariner was last tracked. It's believed the aircraft exploded due to a fuel leak, a tragic but unrelated coincidence that added another layer of mystery to the night. Over the next 5 days, more than 930 search flights covered the region. Despite this massive effort, no trace of Flight 19 or the Mariner was ever found. When news of the disappearances broke, the public was captivated and horrified. How could 5 planes, led by an experienced pilot, simply vanish? The Navy ultimately blamed pilot error, but many refused to accept that explanation. Some pointed to the strange failure of Taylor's instruments. Others questioned why he ignored advice from ground control or refused to switch to a better radio frequency. And then there were the more fantastic claims. reports of white water, glowing skies, or even UFOs chasing the planes. The Navy denies that any such transmissions occurred, but those rumors persist to this day. Skeptics believe the answer lies in navigational error, not the supernatural. In 1945, pilots used a technique called dead reckoning, estimating position by speed, time, and direction. Without working compasses, this method becomes dangerously unreliable. Some researchers believe Flight 19 made a critical mistake after completing the first leg of their mission. Instead of turning northwest as planned, they may have turned northeast, confusing Great Abaco Island for Grand Bahama. From the sky, these islands look similar, especially to pilots who believed their instruments were failing. Taylor, thinking he was over the Florida Keys, ordered a turn west. But instead of heading back toward Florida, the squadron likely flew farther out into the Atlantic Ocean. With fuel running low and nightfall approaching, the pilots faced a terrible choice. Their final messages suggest they planned to ditch their planes in the water. The TBM Avenger, the aircraft they were flying, was notoriously difficult to land safely at sea. The disappearance of Flight 19 helped cement the Bermuda Triangle in popular culture. Over the years, theories have ranged from alien abductions to magnetic anomalies affecting compasses. Some insist the military covered up the true nature of the disaster. Others argue it was simply a tragic combination of human error, bad weather, and technical failure. In truth, the Bermuda Triangle is no more dangerous than any other heavily traveled ocean region. But stories like Flight 19 endure because they tap into a deep human fear, the idea of vanishing without explanation. The planes that vanished that day were the same model that once helped sink Japan's massive Yamato-class battleships during World War II. Yet the Avenger is now better remembered for the mystery of Flight 19. And so, the young men who took off from Fort Lauderdale that afternoon became part of a legend. They flew confidently into the sky, never knowing that they would become the subject of one of history's most puzzling aviation mysteries. Perhaps one day, the ocean will reveal its secrets. Until then, the mystery of Flight 19 and the Bermuda Triangle remains unsolved.